Okay then, hitting the trails. So let's say our training's gone really well. Um, the dogs are able to ride to heel alongside your bike. Their recall is really good. It's now time that we can actually head to the bike park and start riding our bikes. First and foremost, you need to check that dogs are allowed at the bike park. Most of the bike parks in the UK do allow dogs. However, in other countries, I'm not so sure, but just make sure that you are actually allowed to take your dog to the bike park before you take it there. Hit the right trails at the right time. It's really important that, especially with puppies, that you start small and build up. I was out biking one day and I met a guy who had a spaniel, and he was telling me that he had run his dog for 20 miles that day. He seemed really proud about it. The dog was knackered. And I just thought that is absolutely not the right thing to do. Remember, we need to be looking after our dogs. So you need to make sure that you build their endurance up over time, just like you would with a human. So start on really small, gentle trails, and then you can build it up from there. One thing I would say is that we never ever run our dogs hard. So if they're running flat out, we never would run our dogs hard for more than three quarters, half a trail. We'll always stop halfway down to give them a rest. Also, a little note if you are riding e-bikes, um, remember you're going to be going up the hills a lot quicker than you would do on a normal bike. And then the dog is also then running downhill. So just be mindful if you're riding an e-bike to give the dog plenty of breaks as well. And that is goes for uphill as well as downhill. Be mindful what features you ride with your dog. Rafa, who's in the picture there, he will follow me off any jump I go off. Ripper, he won't, but Rafa, if I go off a 6 foot jump, he will follow me. So obviously we can't do that with the dogs. We have to look after their joints. They also don't know the trails. They don't necessarily know what's on the other side of the features. So make sure you're really mindful of what features you're riding. Don't be sending it off massive jumps because the likelihood is that your dog is just going to follow you. Choose the right weather, avoid extreme temperatures. Not a problem in Scotland at the moment. However, in the summer it can get quite hot, so make sure that you're not taking your dog to the bike park and running it, for an hour or so in really hot weather. And the same actually goes for cold temperatures as well. We've had quite a cold winter here in Scotland. Um, and if you are going to be out in cold temperatures, make sure that you're, keeping an eye on your dogs, make sure they've got their jackets on and that they're keeping warm. We also need to consider the surface of the trail that you're riding on. Check paws regularly when you're riding. The reason I say this is in Scotland we have like quite hard packed stones that we ride on, and this can really affect the dog's paws. It can cut their paws if they're running on it quite consistently. So when you are riding at the bike parks, make sure that when you do take these breaks that you are checking your dog's paws, making sure that they're not cut or that they're not bleeding at all. Finally, keep clear of other riders. This is a good one. It's really easy with dogs, especially even our dogs are well trained, but if they see something sometimes that they want to go and look at, they'll head over there. Or if you've stopped for any reason on the trail, just be mindful of other riders coming down the trail. There's nothing worse as a rider if you're coming down and all of a sudden you come round a corner and you're confronted with a dog on in the middle of the trail. So make sure that if you do stop for any reason, that you do sit off to the side of the trail, get hold of your dog, make sure you do have hold of your dog so that you're not going to affect any other riders that are coming down that trail who may not have time to stop before they see your dog. Okay, so when we're in bike parks, then we need to also have a consideration about the ground that we're riding on. If it's really muddy, because my dogs do sit off my back wheel, all the mud comes off my back wheel, and to be honest, it just goes straight into the face of the dog. So you could consider goggles for your dogs. You do get goggles for dogs if it's going to be muddy, or if there's a potential for little stones to be flung up off your back wheel, is a consideration you could make. Talked about this already. Make sure you take plenty of breaks. Please don't be running your dogs hard for hours on end. We need to look after them. We wouldn't run ourselves for hours on end unless we were trained to do that. So make sure you do give them plenty of breaks. Ensure water's available. This is a really good one. I think I know where every single puddle is in the forests or in the bike parks around where I ride. The local bike park here is quite short on puddles and water, so we always have to make sure that we have water with us, specifically for the dogs, so that we can stop and give them a drink of water. Also, it is a big consideration if you're riding in the summer. Can you actually take enough water for yourself, but also for your dog as well? It's really important that we keep the dogs rehydrated, just like we would keep ourselves rehydrated. Make sure you clean up after your dog. At the moment, we are allowed dogs in bike parks here, but if our dogs are pooing everywhere on the trails, then it's likely that they will stop that. So make sure that you do clean up after your dog. Make sure you've got poo bags with you and that you've got somewhere to dispose of those poo bags as well. Again, always remember dog treats. Make sure, if you're going out for the day, remember it's the dog's day out as well. It's not just for you. So make sure you stop. You do give them treats every now and then and tell them they've been a good dog. Okay, so that's the kind of bike park side of things. Fairly straightforward. In Scotland, we can also ride natural trails. So these are trails that are not man-made, that are kind of off-grid, if you like. Riding natural trails, I love riding natural trails with my dogs because it's actually better for the dogs. These trails tend to be slower because they're more technical, they're maybe a bit steeper, and it's also less busy as well. So it's better for the dogs all round. Before you do go riding natural trails, if you're able to ride natural trails in your own country, just consider trail hazards. There could be low-lying branches and also wildlife as well. Think about what wildlife is in the area before you just go and ride a natural trail.